Jeff Allen here, talking about the Working with the French video series, and I'm going to cover one of the six dimensions of national culture, which comes from Hofstede and all, on the uncertainty avoidance index. That's one of the cultural traits or one of the cultural dimensions in their work. And um, and so I'm going to read out what it is here. It's this uncertainty avoidance index is the degree to which the members of a society feel uncomfortable with uncertainty and ambiguity. Again, the degree to which the members of a society feel uncomfortable with uncertainty and ambiguity. So the fundamental issue here is how a society deals with the fact that the future can never be known. Should we try to control the future or just make it happen? And then I'll say what the high and the low are in this, and I'll say what the French are. So the high is kind of rigid codes of belief and behavior, and then an intolerance of unorthodox behavior and ideas. And the low, or the opposite spectrum, that is a more relaxed attitude in which practice counts more than principles. Now, the French are definitely into ambiguity. Definitely into ambiguity. Because they want to, again, I've already mentioned that they don't want to be employee of the month, and they don't want to be the worst of the class. They want to be in the middle, and everything needs to be ambiguity, and everything has to be ambiguous. Everything has to be hidden and not visible, right? Not transparent. So this really comes into the uncertainty avoidance because they like the ambiguity of it. They like the fact that the decision is kind of vague and actual. Pascal Baudry, when he talked about the signing of the contracts, it says when you sign the contract, the French, you're beginning to start the discussion again. So it's always discussing and turning around things. And people talk to this. A lot of Anglo-Saxons, they come to meetings, and Germans, they just really get frustrated with the French because the French are like turning around and around and around in circles about the decision-making process, right? And how you get to the decision. So the ambiguity is this uncertainty and ambiguity. They just love it because it just you don't come to a decision, and sometimes that's on purpose. Um, so, however, I will say that the idea of having codes of belief and behavior, the French do have that. There are a number of very clear codes of belief and behavior which are in the principles of the French Republic, which are fraternity, equality, and I got to remember these three: fraternity, égalité. I can't remember the third one. I'm not French. I didn't sign this, or I didn't sign that. I didn't do the vow. Um, but I can't remember what it is. Sorry, off the top of my head. Um, but it's real. These key values are there, and you don't want to touch these things. And they will always say this thing. Okay, it's really important. Um, so it's much more relaxed. An attitude in which practice counts more than principles. Now, principles do count but those certain principles are really important, the very certain ones. But the how you do it, it's again, it's not results aren't it? It's just the practice of doing it, the relational aspect of things, and the fact you can keep it ambiguous is more important because you're trying to hide from things. And I brought that up. It comes from that book, the Petit Nicolas. It comes from that. So what they're doing is they're actually living out what happens in the book and trying to avoid what's in the book, right? Um, to not be visible on the masculinity thing, the index, and then to not be shamed of being unsuccessful as well. It's both. Being unsuccessful is like the worst thing you can have. Whereas like a Anglo-Saxon culture is like, I make a bunch of mistakes. It's okay. You can fail several times. They're building blocks of mistakes. Not for the French. It's like you don't want to mention any failures, right? You don't want to mention anything. Just the French can't deal with failures because it seems a very bad thing. So you don't want to have the uncertainty along those lines. So the uncertainty thing is kind of in the full future. The future is retirement, right? That's the whole goal, is to get to the retirement and to have time off to do more things, right? Everything's about vacation. Everything is about vacation. Uh, so it's not about the rest. It just retirement vacation, being family all the time, being family all the time. That's all it's about. Um, that's good, but it doesn't quite work when you work in an institution where you're trying to be you're trying to achieving things and really trying to sell really well. It doesn't quite work for that well. It's really tough, and so it can. This whole uncertainty thing is, and they're really into protectionism. I mean, to be protected and trying to save their rear ends, and to get into the unions, to be members of the union, because it's a really union structure is really important to them, and so it's really valuable, and so that can try to protect themselves too. It's kind of interesting. I've been having a lot of colleagues that are Anglo-Saxon that have actually joined the unions, but probably in certain roles that kind of go towards that in some things. So there's that. That's kind of the theme on the uncertainty and avoidance. It's not avoidance. It's uncertainty. Keep it that way. So definitely on a low end. But actually keeping the avoidance, keeping the uncertainty in place, which is kind of a weird thing for others that are not used to this. But that's how it works. That's the cultural thing, and that's why anybody that is coming from Anglo-Saxon culture or Germanic culture and trying to get the French to become like them, it ain't gonna work. I'm just warning you, it's not gonna work. So you got to find another way to do it. And I've been working on that. I've been working on that for a long time. I found a bunch of ways to do it. So I'll maybe talk about that at the end of the book, right? At the end of this video series.